as we're leading up to Christmas, and as we're leading up to Christmas, and I wanna just do, this is a Christmas story. Twas the night before Christmas. I wanna just need one. Okay. And please subscribe to my channel, please, people. Okay. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas would be there. Children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced on their heads. And Mama in her nightgown and I in my cap had just settled our rain for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprung from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the red of the new fallen snow gave to the light of a midday to objects below. When what in my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More radiant than eagles coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher and Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, come on Comet and come on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the curtain they flew, with sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and prawling of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was all dressed in all in fur from head to foot, and his clothes were all tarnished, ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a pedder just opening his pack. His eyes they twinkled, his dimples so merry, his cheeks are so rosy, his nose like a cherry. Drew little mouth was drawn like a bow, and his beard and his chin white as snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath, and he had broad face and a little round belly, shook when he laughed like bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I when I saw him in spite of myself. Wink of an eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work. He filled the stockings and turned to the jerk, and laying his fingers aside his nose, he gave a nod. Up a chimney he rose. He sprung to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away he flew. Like down of a thistle, I heard him exclaim ere he drove out of sight, Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night. I'm gonna do another one. Find another good one. Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one. The Elves and the Shoemaker. A shoemaker by no fault of his own had become so poor that at last he had nothing left but leather for one pair of shoes. So in the evening he cut out the shoe which he wished to begin to make the next morning, and as he had good so he lay down quietly in his bed, commended himself to God, and fell asleep. In the morning, after he'd said his prayers and was just going to sit down to work, the two shoes stood quite finished on the table. He was astonished, and knew not what to say to it. He took the shoes and in his hands to observe them closer, and they were so neatly made that there was not one bad stitch in them, just as if were intended as a masterpiece. Soon after, a buyer came in, and as the shoes pleased him so well, he paid more for them than was customary, and with the money the shoemaker was able to purchase leather for 2 pairs of shoes. He cut them out at night, and next morning was about to set to work with fresh courage, but he had no need to do so, for when he got up they were already made, and buyers also were not wanting, who gave him money enough to buy leather for 4 pairs of shoes. Following morning too, he found the pairs made, and so it went on constantly. What he cut out in the evening, he finished by the morning, so that he soon had his honest independence again, and at last became a wealthy man. Now it befell that one evening not long before Christmas, when the man had been cutting out, and said to his wife before going to bed, "What do you think if we were to stay up all night to see who is the lady of us this helping hand, a woman liked the idea and lighted a candle, and they hid themselves in a corner of the room behind some clothes, which were hanging up there, and watched. When it was midnight, two pretty little naked men sat down by the shoemaker's table, took all the work, which was their cuttings, out before them, and began to stitch and sew and hammer so quickly with their little fingers that the shoemakers could not turn his eyes for astonishment. They did not stop until all was done and stood finished on the table, and then they quickly ran away. Next morning a woman said, "The little men have made us rich, and we really must show that we are grateful for it. They ran about so and had nothing on and must be cold. I'll tell thee what I'll do. I'll make them little shirts and coats and vests and trousers and knit them a pair of stockings, and do make them 2 pairs of shoes." A man said, "I shall be very glad to do it." And one night, when everything was ready, they laid their presents all together on the table instead of cut-out work, and then considered themselves to see how the little man would behave. At midnight they came bounding in and wanted to get to work at once, but they did not find any leather cut out, and they were pretty little article of clothing. They were at first astonished, and then showed intense delight. They dressed themselves with the greatest rapidly, putting the pretty clothes on and singing, "Now we are boys so fine to see, why should we longer cobblers be?" Then they danced and skipped and leaped over the chairs and benches as they danced out the doors, and from that time forth they came no more, but long as the shoemaker lived and went well with him, and all his undertakings, says, they were once a poor servant girl who was in 3 years angry, and swept the house every day, and emptied her sweetie on a great heap in front of the door. One morning she was just going back to work. She found a letter on this heap, and as she could not read, she put her broom in the corner and took the letter to her master and mistress, and behold, it was an invitation from the elves who asked the girl to hold a child for them in its whistle. The girl did not know what to do, but at length, after much and they told her that it was not right to refuse an invitation of this kind. She consented. The 3 elves came and conducted to her room where the little folks lived. Everything there was small, but more elegant and beautiful than can be described. Baby Mama laid in a bed of black ring. Was of ivory and bath of gold. The girl stood as grandmother and then wanted to go home again, but the little elves urgently entreated her to stay 3 days with them. So she stayed and passed her time in pursuit, and the little folks did all they could to make her happy. At last she set on her way home, quite full of money, and after they led her on money in, when she got home she wanted to begin her work. Broom, and was standing in a corner with Annie in to sweep. Strangers came to the house. Quite a long story, I'm not sure I'll go through